Okay, so we've got some seriously interesting articles you sent in about the whole Trumpy coin phenomenon. Let's unpack this wild ride. Remember back in 2025 when then President-elect Trump launched his own cryptocurrency?
Yeah,
It felt like the world tilted on its axis. We're going to take a deep dive into how it all went down,
for sure.
what it means, and where it might be heading.
Yeah, it was definitely a curveball, even for
Hmm.
those of us who, follow the crypto world closely.
Totally.
Yeah,
I mean, launching a meme coin, it's not exactly a traditional campaign strategy, is it?
right.
So
Yeah.
walk us through those first crazy hours. What was the initial reaction?
Well, picture this. It's Friday night.
Hmm.
Everyone's winding down for the weekend.
Okay.
And suddenly at 9:44 p.m. Eastern Time, Trump makes this unexpected announcement.
Wow.
Naturally, there was a ton of confusion. People weren't sure if his account had been hacked, if it was
Yeah.
some elaborate joke,
Oh,
or
yeah.
if he was serious.
Yeah, that initial uncertainty must have been a huge driver for the, shall we say, enthusiastic market response.
Absolutely. Uncertainty breeds curiosity. And in the world of meme coins, curiosity often translates into, let's say, aggressive investment. Within just 12 hours, Trump saw a 9,500% increase in value.
9,500%. It's almost hard to grasp a number like that. What do you think was behind that kind of astronomical growth besides the initial confusion?
I'd say it was a perfect storm of factors.
Yeah.
You had the shock value of the announcement itself, the fear of missing out that's so prevalent in the crypto world, and then, of course, the undeniable power of Trump's brand,
Mm.
love him or hate him. It all combined to create this frenzy of activity.
Even Elon Musk seemed a bit bewildered,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. He publicly questioned whether Trump was really going all in on meme coins or if something else was going on.
Wow.
And, Musk isn't exactly known for being shy about embracing new tech or pushing boundaries.
Yeah, it really highlights how much this move disrupted expectations,
Right.
even among the tech elite.
Yeah.
So let's talk a bit about the coin itself. It
Okay.
wasn't a full release right from the start, was it?
Right. At launch, only 20% of the total Tramsu supply was made available.
Oh, wow.
The remaining 80% is planned to be released gradually over the next 3 years. This controlled release is a pretty crucial element to consider when analyzing the coin's potential trajectory.
Can you explain a bit more about that? What exactly is a controlled release and what impact could it have on the Trump coin?
Sure. A controlled release in this context means they're not flooding the market with all the Trump coins at once.
Okay.
This strategy can be used to try and stabilize the price, preventing huge spikes or dips. If demand remains high while the supply is limited, it could theoretically drive the price up.
Okay.
Of course, the reverse is also true.
So there's a lot of potential for both growth and volatility,
Mhm.
depending on how things play out.
Right.
I imagine this is where the debate between the skeptics and the optimists comes in, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You've got the skeptics who believe Trumpy is just another meme coin hype cycle destined to crash and burn.
Hmm.
And then you have the optimists who see it as a shrewd investment with the potential for massive returns.
I'm curious to hear more about both sides of that argument, but before we get into that,
Okay.
you mentioned earlier that Trumpy was built on a blockchain.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that a bit for those of us who might not be as familiar with the technical side of things?
Sure.
What type of blockchain are we talking about and why does it matter?
It's built on a proof-of-stake blockchain, which is different from the proof-of-work model used by Bitcoin, for example. Proof-of-stake is often considered more energy efficient, which is a big point of contention in the crypto world these days.
Right.
It also tends to be faster in terms of transaction speed. Knowing the underlying tech is important because it can influence the coin's functionality, scalability, and ultimately its perceived value.
That's super helpful to understand.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's dive into the viewpoints. Let's start with those who are less convinced about the future of Trump.
All right.
Why the skepticism?
Well, the skeptics point to the history of meme coins, many of which have experienced these meteoric rises, followed by equally dramatic crashes.
Sort of a boom and bust cycle.
Right. They argue that the initial surge in Trump's value was primarily driven by hype,
Okay.
speculation,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe a bit of, shall we say, morbid curiosity. They're concerned that as the hype inevitably fades and more coins are released, the price will plummet, leaving investors high and dry.
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
What else are they worried about?
They highlight that Trump doesn't have any real-world utility or inherent value.
Okay.
It's not tied to a product or service. It's essentially just a digital token linked to a controversial figure.
Right.
This makes it highly susceptible to market manipulation and the whims of social media trends, which can change direction faster than you can say blockchain. They also question the long-term viability of a coin so closely tied to one individual.
Interesting. So their concerns seem to center around the coin's perceived lack of intrinsic value and its dependence on, well, let's just say unpredictable factors.
Precisely. Their argument boils down to the idea that Trump is a bubble waiting to burst.
Okay, but as you mentioned, there's another side to this story. What are the optimists saying? What makes them so bullish on Trump?
Well, the optimists believe Trump is more than just a fleeting meme. They argue that it's a cultural phenomenon with the potential to disrupt traditional financial systems,
Hmm.
or at least shake things up a bit.
Okay.
They believe its association with Trump,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of one's political stance, actually works in its favor.
Interesting.
It generates a level of interest and engagement that traditional assets just can't replicate.
So they're saying that even negative attention can translate into positive market activity.
That's their take.
Mm.
They also point to the fact that Trump has already achieved a level of mainstream recognition and adoption that's pretty remarkable for a meme coin.
Oh, wow.
It's been featured in major news outlets, discussed by celebrities,
Mm-hmm.
and is even traded on some established cryptocurrency exchanges.
Oh, wow.
This visibility lends it a certain legitimacy that most meme coins can only dream of.
Okay, so they're banking on the coin's ability to transcend its meme status
Right.
and become something more substantial.
Exactly. And they believe the controlled release of the remaining 80% of the supply will play a key role in supporting long-term growth.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is to create a more stable and sustainable upward trajectory, as opposed to a sudden, unsustainable spike.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Are there any other factors fueling their optimism?
They also believe the underlying technology.
Okay.
The proof-of-stake blockchain we discussed earlier gives Trump an inherent value beyond its meme status. As blockchain technology continues to evolve and gain wider acceptance,
Right.
they believe Trump is well-positioned to benefit from that growth. They see it as a calculated bet on the future of finance, a future where decentralized, community-driven currencies play a major role.
So they're betting on both the coin's ability to capture the cultural zeitgeist and the transformative power of blockchain technology.
That's a great way to put it. For them, Trabembe isn't just a gamble, it's an investment in a potential paradigm shift.
This is fascinating. We've heard compelling arguments from both the skeptics and the optimists. Clearly, there's no easy answer here. The future of Trump remains uncertain,
Right.
but the very existence of this coin and the discussions surrounding it speak volumes about the changing landscape of finance and the undeniable influence of technology in meme culture.
Absolutely. This story is far from over.
All right, well, before we get completely swept away by the sheer magnitude of it all, let's take a closer look at some of the key events that unfolded in those first few weeks after the launch.
Okay.
This might help us understand where things could be headed. Where do we even begin?
Well, I think it's important to look at that early investor who managed to turn $1.1 million into a staggering $120.3 million practically overnight.
Oh, yes, that story. Talk about a case study in meme coin volatility. Let's dig into that after a quick break.
That's right. The story of that early investor is a prime example of the incredible potential, but also the inherent risk
Yeah.
associated with meme coins. It's almost hard to believe. They turned $1.1 million into $120.3 million,
Wow.
practically overnight.
It's enough to make your head spin. What can we learn from this example besides the obvious get in early lesson?
It really highlights the power of speculation and virality in driving these parabolic price movements. Remember, this investor jumped in during those initial hours of uncertainty when the fear of missing out was at its peak.
So it wasn't just luck, it was also a calculated risk capitalizing on that early momentum.
Exactly. And it underscores a key point we discussed earlier, the lack of real-world utility or intrinsic value backing Trump. This investor essentially bet on the belief that others would also buy into the hype, driving the price up even further.
Which in this case they did, at least for a while. But it does make you wonder, is this kind of growth sustainable in the long run? What are some of the factors that could make or break Trump's future?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Well, predicting the future of any cryptocurrency is a fool's errand.
Right.
There are a few key things to watch. One is the regulatory landscape.
Yep.
Governments worldwide are starting to grapple with how to regulate cryptocurrencies, and their decisions could have a major impact on the entire market. Trump included.
Right, because right now it's still a bit of a wild west out there in the crypto world.
Exactly. If governments impose strict regulations, it could stifle innovation and slow down adoption, potentially hurting Trumpy's prospects.
But wouldn't clear and consistent regulations also provide a sense of legitimacy and stability to the market, potentially attracting more institutional investors?
That's a valid point. It's a complex issue,
Yeah,
with potential benefits and drawbacks.
for sure.
Increased regulation could lead to greater mainstream acceptance and investor confidence, but it could also limit the decentralized, freewheeling nature that many see as the heart of crypto.
So it's a delicate balancing act for regulators. What else should we be paying attention to?
Technological advancements are another critical factor.
Okay.
The crypto world is constantly evolving with new technologies and applications emerging all the time. Trumpy can't just rest on its laurels or its meme status, if you will.
So it needs to offer more than just a connection to a personality.
Right.
It needs to have some substance behind it.
Precisely. If the developers behind Trumpy can find ways to integrate it into innovative platforms or create real-world use cases for the token, it could significantly increase its value proposition and long-term appeal.
That makes sense. Utility and functionality are key in the long run for any technology, even a meme coin.
Absolutely. And then, of course, there's investor sentiment, which is arguably the most difficult factor to predict.
Yeah.
It's driven by emotions, fear, greed, hope,
Right.
and a whole lot of speculation.
As we've seen with other meme coins, sentiment can shift on a dime,
Yeah.
leading to those dramatic price swings.
Exactly. So while the optimists might be betting on sustained growth and the skeptics might be predicting a crash, ultimately, the future of Trumpy could hinge on the whims of the market. And those whims are often driven by factors that are, shall we say, outside the realm of logic.
That's a sobering thought. It seems like there's this underlying tension between the tangible world of finance with its regulations and traditional indicators of value,
Yeah.
and this new, almost intangible world of meme coins, where value is often perceived rather than intrinsic.
That's a great observation.
Yeah.
And that tension is at the heart of this whole phenomenon. We're witnessing a clash between old and new, between established financial systems and this emerging decentralized world of crypto.
It makes you wonder, what if this is just the beginning? What if Trumpy is just the tip of the iceberg? You hinted at this earlier.
Yeah.
What did you mean?
Imagine a world where other high-profile figures, organizations, or even entire countries follow suit and launch their own cryptocurrencies. Imagine the impact that could have on global finance, on power structures, on the very way we think about money and value.
It's a mind-boggling concept. Are we really on the cusp of such a fundamental shift?
It's certainly within the realm of possibility. We're already seeing the lines between traditional finance and the crypto world blur.
Right.
More and more institutions are dipping their toes into the crypto waters,
Okay.
and the technology itself is advancing rapidly.
So the Trump-Bongpi phenomenon, regardless of its individual outcome, could be a catalyst for a much larger transformation.
It's possible. Think about it.
Yeah.
This seemingly bizarre idea of a president launching his own meme coin has sparked a global conversation about the future of finance.
Yeah.
It's forced us to confront some fundamental questions about what gives something value, who controls our money, and how technology is reshaping our world.
Those are weighty questions indeed. And I have to say, I'm not sure I have the answers.
That's okay. No one does. We're all navigating uncharted territory here.
Right.
The key is to stay informed, to engage in these conversations, and to think critically about the implications of these emerging trends.
You're absolutely right. Okay, well, we've explored the origins of Trump, the arguments for and against its success, and the potential larger implications of this phenomenon. But what about the people who got caught up in this whirlwind? The investors, the everyday folks who put their money into this meme coin. What are their stories?
Well, there's the story of Sarah, a single mom from Ohio, who invested her life savings.
Oh, I read about Sarah.
Yeah.
Her story is both heartbreaking and inspiring. Let's talk about that next. Sarah's story is a powerful reminder that behind these market trends and abstract discussions about blockchain and meme coins, there are real people whose lives are being impacted,
Right.
for better or worse.
Yeah. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement,
Yeah.
the potential for quick riches, but it's crucial to remember that there's always risk involved, especially with something as volatile as a meme coin.
For those who haven't read Sarah's story, can you give us a brief overview?
Sure. Sarah is a single mother from Ohio
Okay.
who, like many others, was struggling to make ends meet. She heard about Trump fraud, saw the incredible price increases, and decided to invest her life savings, hoping to secure a better future for herself and her children.
It was gamble, but one she felt she had to take.
Yeah, unfortunately, she bought in right before one of those major price drops we talked about earlier, and
Oh, no.
she lost almost everything.
It's heartbreaking. Her story really underscores the human cost of these speculative bubbles.
It does, and it highlights the importance of careful research,
Right.
risk assessment,
Mm,
and understanding the potential downsides before diving headfirst into any investment, especially in the crypto world.
absolutely. Sarah's story is a cautionary tale,
Yeah,
but it's also a testament to human resilience.
right.
Despite this setback, she's
Yeah.
rebuilding and she's become an advocate for financial literacy and responsible investing.
That's the silver lining. Her experience, while painful, is now serving as a valuable lesson for others.
It's a reminder that even in the face of financial setbacks, there's always hope and there's always a way to learn and grow from our experiences.
For sure.
You know, her story also brings up a crucial point that we haven't explicitly addressed yet: the accessibility of cryptocurrencies.
Oh,
Because
good.
on the one hand, crypto is often touted as this democratizing force in finance, offering opportunities for those who might be excluded from traditional systems.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it can also be incredibly risky,
Right.
especially for those who might not have the resources or knowledge to navigate this complex landscape.
So there's this tension between the potential for financial inclusion and the potential for exploitation.
And that's a tension that needs to be addressed as crypto continues to evolve and gain wider adoption. We need to ensure that people have access to the information and resources they need to make informed decisions.
It's about empowering individuals, not just with access to new financial tools,
Yeah.
but also with the knowledge and understanding to use them wisely.
That's a crucial point.
Yeah.
It's not enough to simply democratize access.
Right.
We need to democratize knowledge as well.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
We've explored the origins of Trumpy, the factors driving its price fluctuations,
Yeah.
the arguments from both skeptics and optimists, and the broader implications of this phenomenon for the future of finance.
We sure have.
We've also looked at real-life stories, like Sarah's reminding us that these aren't just abstract concepts.
Right.
They have tangible consequences for individuals and communities.
Absolutely.
And throughout this discussion, I keep coming back to this idea that Trumpy, regardless of its ultimate fate,
Yeah.
is a symptom of a much larger transformation that's underway.
Really is.
A transformation driven by technology,
Mm,
shifting power dynamics,
Yeah.
and evolving notions of value.
absolutely.
It's a transformation that's challenging the old ways of doing things, disrupting established systems, and forcing us to rethink our relationship with money, power, and even our own sense of identity.
That's a great point.
It's a time of uncertainty, but also a time of immense possibility.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And as we navigate this uncharted territory, it's crucial to stay informed,
For sure.
to engage in critical thinking, and to never stop asking questions.
Yeah, because the future is being written right now, and we all have a role to play in shaping it.
I think that's a great note to end on.
I agree.
This deep dive has been a whirlwind of information, but it's also been incredibly thought-provoking.
It has.
I hope it's given our listeners some valuable insights and maybe even sparked some further exploration on their own.
I hope so too.
Thanks for joining us on this journey.
It was my pleasure.